It's Friday and we're back on the air like we never left. So welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central, the last day in the working week, and this introduces the Breakfast Extra for the weekend. But before we talk about that, let's officially welcome you to today's show. It promises to be very, very interesting, from our wake-up conversations to the conversations we're going to have about the topics and, most importantly, the big stories. My name is Joe Hansen.
A warm welcome to you all. This is Breakfast Central. Joe Hansen has said it all, so I will decide to stand or sit on existing protocol, the best breakfast television show in Nigeria. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. We have a lot in store for you, but Olive, our legal luminary on the set, will tell you more. Over to you, Sister Olive.
Thank you very much, Joe Hansen and Benga Burwa. I also will sit on existing protocol, but I want to warmly welcome you to the Friday edition of Breakfast Central. We're easing quite easily into the weekend. Very excited about that, because when we leave today, the next time you will see us in Monday, but not to worry. The next 3 hours, we're going to be looking at some of the biggest stories that have happened in the past 24 hours, as well as some stories that have had fresh developments. And we're bringing you all that update. Remember that we're streaming live on YouTube, so you can drop your comments. Oftentimes I'll go on YouTube from time to time to pick some of your comments and read them live on air. Once again, welcome. But permit me to start this show this morning with, first of all, I need to give you guys just, I had the best party yesterday.
And you're you got enough sleep, you look energetic.
Well, I did not get enough sleep, but...
Or is it perhaps what you consumed at the party?
No, I did not. No, I didn't consume it. I don't do any of such substances.
No consumables.
No.
So you won't eat?
No.
I don't know why your mind is...
You better eat. You better. But I need to give a little bit of a shout out. So yesterday, Sean Farquhar, Nollywood actor, and his lovely wife Sharon Adugo got married, and it was a huge Nollywood turnout. Friends, family went out, came out in numbers to celebrate them. It was peak celebration of Igbo culture. From the dress code, they said everyone should dress, Igbo oldies glam. That was the theme. The music, everything. On a Thursday. And it was packed out. First, because people love Sean. I mean, he's a lovely person that shows up for every other person. So I want to use this opportunity to give a big, big shout out to Sean and Sharon Farquhar. Say congratulations. May your love live forever. And thank you for giving us a lovely party.
This is the part where the producer is supposed to play the video.
No, my producer was not there now.
You'll carry us along.
I'll show you on my phone later.
Okay.
I'll show you.
Nice. And people are supposed to get married on Thursday. It's the normal day for wedding because it's called Wed Next Day.
You're a wise man, full of
Wednesday, wed the next day.
Wow.
You're supposed to get married on Thursdays.
Wow.
The kind of people I work with.
Wow. And they wedded the next day.
Yes, and one more thing I want to say is,
because
when you said, the weekend is upon us and the next time you see us will be on Monday, and I've said this before countless times. Mixed feelings. I'm saying something else. I'm saying something else. Since management knows Breakfast Extra takes over, and we have a way of missing the show, why don't they extend our Friday show to like 6 or 7 hours?
I just do that because I don't say nonsense. Well, when we start misbehaving a little too much, just know it's Friday. It's the Friday and the Friday spirit. Let's begin wake-up conversations. A few days ago, we had a big story here, sharing with you that President had granted clemency to 175 people, some of whom had already started serving their sentence, some had done 3 years, 4 years, anyway, 175 lists, including our ancient people from our past, the likes of Herbert Macaulay.
That were charged during colonial times.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the list garnered a lot of criticism. We talked about it here. We had this representatives from government, and there was a lot of pushback when Joe had asked the question about if the president had seen the list. The latest update, it would seem, is that the list is under review. The federal government has said that no inmate was released yet. But let's take you first. Let's take you back to the conversation that we had a few days ago about this.
The whole idea of prerogative of mercy or pardon, as constitutionally stipulated, doesn't preclude any offense. So a president has power to pardon or to grant clemency, unless, first of all, and there are three operative words here: prerogative, pardon, mercy. Prerogative means the official power, official right, as stipulated by the Constitution for the president to grant pardon. And pardon also means that you set someone free from offenses that have been committed. So that power, that section of the Constitution that grants the president such power, doesn't preclude any offense. It means that whatever might be the crime of the individuals involved, whether murder, drug-related, corruption, whatever it is, the president has the power to grant that pardon, and the president has exercised that power. There is no country in the world where a president or head of state has exercised this power that there will be unanimity of opinion. There will always be controversy. I think the point is there will never be that unanimity of opinion on whatever a government does. Government policies, government actions, government program anywhere in the world will always elicit different reactions from different people. There will be those against, there will be those in support. So what you will expect from opposition elements like Mr. Ibe, of course, who is speaking for former vice president, I'm sure if you read if you were on social media yesterday evening, you saw the tweet by the former vice president Ikot. Of course, his spokesman is on television this morning to have the same argument. But the point is, nobody.
That's Mr. Tokwe Ajayi, the senior special assistant on media to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He joined us a few days back, and he was speaking as to why the president had to do that. Even though he was asked a question in between.
And he got very angry about it.
You asked him a question saying, did the president see the list? And he got upset. And we're like, no, it's a valid question. Yes. Why? Because we recognize the fact that the president cannot do everything. So he has to append his signature. There was a committee, just like Mr. Ajayi had said. Yeah. There was a committee that came together to collate and go through the list. And the president, if I were to be the president, it's not everything that I'll be able to proofread or go
175.
through. You have a cabinet for a reason. The cabinet then says, they handle different areas. So you ask a valid question. Yeah. The president go through the list.
I don't think his anger was valid at all. And hence your chuckle when we got back into the studio, because he who laughs laughs first. I would like to ask him the same question now, that why are they reviewing it? Well, and Olive, as we say, he who laughs laughs first. Ha, ha, ha.
He's not saying laugh first, he's laugh best.
I don't understand.
He's
laugh best.
Yes, okay. He who laughs best.
Yes, and you've been vindicated by the fact that the government is going to review
the
list.
Let me give you a quick update on that. The Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice wishes to clarify that no inmate approved for clemency under the recent exercise of the president's power of prerogative of mercy has been released from custody. The statement then goes ahead to say the process remains at the final administrative stage, which includes a standard review to ensure that all names and recommendations fully comply with established legal and procedural requirements before any instrument of release is issued. Shouldn't this have been done before the names were announced?
This puts in the cart before the horse.
Let me laugh best.
Yeah. I join you in Nollywood witchcraft laughter.
I mean, we can be all comical, yeah, but why are we always doing this thing? Why? So this, like Olive just said, this should be the first step.
Absolutely. Before the embarrassing...
Before publishing the names.
Exactly.
They said it is important to note that the last stage of the exercise after approval by the Council of State is the issuance of the instrument for the implementation of the decision concerning each beneficiary. This stage affords an opportunity for a final look at the list for remedial purposes, if any, before the instrument is forwarded to the Controller General of corrections for necessary actions. This verification process is part of standard protocol and reflects government's commitment to transparency and due diligence. So they're saying here that this is typically how it's done. And so basically inferring that it's not necessarily because of the uproar that this has caused. That typically this is the thing they will follow. There is no delay in the process. It is simply following the law to the letter to ensure that only those duly qualified benefit from the president's mercy. As soon as all legal and procedural checks are concluded, the public will be duly informed. The rule of law does not rush. It ensures fairness. Again,
wait, sorry. The rule of law
does not rush. It ensures fairness. It doesn't rush like
the family that said somebody killed their son and the person was sentenced to death.
The father has accepted it now.
There's a mixed story behind. There's a mixed story behind that particular story.
The state has a responsibility. If you commit murder and you say, "I forgive this person,"
it's a crime against the state.
It's a great crime against the state.
It's not something you can forgive.
Exactly.
But that being said, even if this is the procedure, we will think that due diligence should entail crossing all T's, dotting all I's,
before you come to the public.
Exactly, ensuring that everyone who's on that list is eligible to be on the list by whatever metrics. It's the reason why we asked how the names were selected. And Mr. Temitope Ajayi said that the committee was put together.
Yeah.
The public, we the masses, the citizens, will assume that this committee has done their due diligence, vetted every single name, assured the president that everybody there was deserving before the president then approves and then it's made public. Certain things should not come to the public until there is a confirmed approval about these issues.
Can this administration, I mean, while we love their stern approach towards national issues, can they really work on not rushing to do things? We've said it here many times before.
On their communication
Remember
strategy.
from when they had the SSA to the president, then Admiral, the rush of, oh, Dubai, yes. We've sealed Dubai, deal is done. You can
and then
travel.
only for things to unravel a few days later.
And then everybody's like, why are you rushing? Now there's another announcement, we've gotten a gas deal with Shell and signing. And experts are saying, listen, this is, there's a lot. And now this one. Now, even if they say this is part of the due process, my point is, and I'm saying it here on television, you can mark me wrong, and I also stand to be corrected, though. I'm perfect, but then again, yes, I sit to be corrected. Oh, you're right, sit to be corrected. It's a metaphor,
Evangelist.
Only those who have been watching the show this week will
understand what we're saying. And why I say so is because I still have a strong feeling that some names there will be dropped. Some names on that list.
It has to. I mean, it's
will
not...
be dropped. They will refer them back
to
because we talked about that's why the case of whistleblowers in Nigeria is one that people are afraid for. They're afraid of because if you're a whistleblower, you're not certain if the federal government will be able to protect you. So those who had whistleblown or those who had equally arrested these hardened criminals who are going to be released, what will happen to them?
There'll be fear of retribution.
Yeah,
that's it.
When these people come out, they will want to take revenge.
And my biggest fear, guys, sorry, before we go to what Nigeria, is for the Attorney General of the Federation. When you read the position of the Attorney General of the Federation, what his position should be, it should actually be to uphold, advise, and ensure that it protects the Nigerian people from and the decisions that are being taken from the presidency and so on. But it's not looking that way. It's looking like, oh, you know what? No, I am just a politician. I stand to be corrected.
I think the government is still trying to get with the times and forgetting that Nigerians are very smart and tech-savvy people and would always review any information that comes out. You mentioned the Qatar case, no, the Dubai
yes.
gas, and they've made these gaffes over and over again. So within themselves, before they bring out or make policy announcements, they should scrutinize or have a focus group and say, okay, which angle are people going to scrutinize this? Are we sure? Dot all the T's and cross all the T's and dot all the I's before they come out, because it's becoming embarrassing.
What they're doing now is they are dotting the T's and crossing the I's, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's see what Nigerians are saying about this on X. Our first tweet this morning from X regarding the story about clemency, Idon says, presidential pardon under review. Nobody is here to be released. In other words, glitch. I had to
you had to mimic that up, yeah.
Review after pardon. They want to undo what president has done. My brother asked them, was it not reviewed before president proceeded to issue the pardon? This government is a joke. Exactly
Who asked that question and somebody got angry?
Exactly.
We asked that question
English
here,
is such...
and somebody got angry.
Never in my life.
English is such a beautiful language. That's what you said in your analysis.
Yes.
Right? You have granted a pardon. Are you not supposed to? You read the statement, all the fantastic words they were using. You know, we have to review, blah, blah. That's what you do before you
I'm going to post that video on my social media page.
Never in my life have I seen where verification is done for compliance after granting pardon.
They give you...
You cannot put the carts before the horse. How was the list compiled? Were there no checks? Were the names picked randomly and announced? I thought it was given to deserving convicts, Austin says. And we need to cut out that clip for social media so that we can get a better understanding. Review after pardon has been announced and published. APC, we hailed you. I remember we talked about this that day, and we had the guest who was sharing his thought. And I said, you can't undo the pardon. Once you've granted the pardon, I mean, unless you can say the pardon was granted under false pretenses.
Then look, if
or
you
whatever,
made a mistake, and I think it's better. And
Thank you, you're not going there.
All the time. You know, just own up. We didn't do a careful job.
Okay. You don't
catch me.
From Nigerians, we believe it's in our best interest to
people will respect you
withdraw
more.
these pardons from these people. Look, to err is human. We're not machines. We're not perfect. So, but trying to, you know, think you're smart and, you know, using words to polish it is just, you're exposing yourself further.
Honestly, a better way might have been to keep quiet. But then again, we'll continue to ask questions about this, as is our responsibility here to amplify the voices of the people. Still on Wake Up Conversations, the demolition agent is at work again. A number of properties have been demolished. Yesterday, we talked about the guarding in Abuja. We had Jennifer Ume, who was on the show, with the people who were affected by that demolition, crying, weeping, on literally sharing how heartbroken they are by the demolition and how much opportunities have been lost in terms of employment. But it's not just in Abuja. It's happening here in Lagos as well. But this time around, the explanation is that these illegal structures were built on water channels. Let's look at the Commissioner for Environment's tweet regarding this illegal structure. Tokunbo Wahab says, work is ongoing along the airport road channel to restore the right-of-way of water and ensure smooth flow across the drainage corridor. Structures built directly on the water path are being removed as part of the state government's continuous efforts to address flooding, protect lives, and safeguard critical infrastructure. And he goes on, you know, that's the tweet from Tokunbo Wahab, that basically, I don't know if we have the video. Let's take a look at this video, and we'll come and show you. Wow. This, my heart, I can't tell you how many pieces my heart broke into while I was watching this. Because for a minute, I just imagined that happening to my home. I imagine that happening to my home.
And I'm sure people have lived here for years.
Memories have been built.
And again, I don't support contravening government rules, building on drainage or water channels. But the question we ask all the time, where was the government when these structures were going up? It shows their level of supervision. It's very, very poor. Where are their agents? I mean, sometimes you do renovation projects. Before you bat an eyelid, you see the officials of Lagos State Building Control Agency. They're there. They ask you to pay X certain amount of money and all of that. So where were they when all these structures were going up? That's the question. Why wait for people?
Very valid question you have asked me.
And Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, the Honorable Commissioner, these days has, on social media, they're nicknaming him Demolition Man after that movie. If you're born in the 90s, you remember, by Anna Shashanega.
No, calm down. It's not.
And also,
stop that.
Is this what they are calling Shashanega?
It's not.
Who acted Demolition Man?
Demolition Man was one of like the. I mean, I remember the poster. It was Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes, yes.
Ah, right.
Wesley Snipes that looked like the Nigerian man.
You know, I have the jackets that I wear whenever I wear it. My friend says, you're giving Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes is Mr. Stalin. So, I mean, apart from being a demolition man, there was also a post by a member, a government official. I don't know if we have that tweet. In that post, he explained clearly what you should avoid before you start building going forward. And I think our developers need to also understand. But but there's a lot to actually cover in this entire case. I feel bad. We feel sad for those whose homes have been destroyed, those who will be left homeless. It's painful, but then again, it also shows that there's a lot that needs to be done from the state itself. Now, the Koshofe LGA chairman, Barrister Muyo Ogunlere, issued a warning concerning when you're going for acquisition of landed property, and I'm just going to read it out. He said, please listen, especially if you're building now and you're looking to build, you're looking to buy. He says, if the land is not 45 meters away from any power line, don't buy. If the land is not 45 meters away from any power line, don't buy. If the land is not 30 meters away from any canal, don't buy. And then, you can see the one they were destroying, Benga. Yeah. It's too close to the canal, very close. It's just like a step. So if it's not 30 meters away, don't buy. If the land does not have a gap of at least 70 meters away from a federal, state, or local road, don't buy. Ignorance is not a defense. That's what he says. And I think this should last longer in the memories of all those, especially the real estate, where you have people are now selling properties, even in shanties. They're selling every single thing. They're telling you, come.
I mean, sometimes they even use that canal to market.
So it's not fine. No, there's a drainage here.
Benga,
I don't know about that one.
No, but it's close to the canal because
so
when it floods,
water flows.
The water flows quite free.
I don't know about canal view estate.
Yeah. 15 minutes from ShopRite. They even say something is in Nogombo. They will tell you it's 5 minutes from airport. The new Lekki airport that they've not even drawn the plan. The new Lekki International Airport coming up in the future.
Agents are very interesting. Okay, let's see what the Nigerians are saying about this on X, and then we'll move to our next story. HRH, Her Royal Highness Banke Oniru says, let's address the pertinent issues and adopt the proper procedures. Question arises, who sold these parcels of land to the builder/buyer?
One.
To halt this practice, the government must apprehend those individuals who sell illegal land and all parties who authorize it. Curbing this foolishness is not rocket science.
I wish we can spend more time on this, and this should be the only tweet we can really look at. She addresses the most important question that nobody is addressing.
Issues.
Nobody is bringing anybody to the fold and saying these are the guys who work with government, who committed this atrocity, who sold these lands,
I will not hear that this piece of land is illegal and I'll put my money there. I'm not stupid. I don't think any sane person will hear that, oh, this land is illegal and I want to buy.
And I'm sure Lagos State has been collecting land use charge.
Yes, now from that property. So who's collecting it?
Yes.
Whose account did it go to?
Would they be
who signed? Who approved? Yeah. Because these people whose homes are being destroyed, they have documents. And when they show it to the government, there's the one that happened in Maryland. They showed it to the government, they showed it to the same commissioner and said, look at the name, look at the signature, the stamp. Why didn't the government say, okay, whose name is this? If it's one Jonathan or something that signed it, okay, who is he? Check the records, look for him.
Exactly.
Let's apprehend him.
Because you shouldn't sign on such a property. You shouldn't have done this. Using the Lagos State letterhead, come on. Yes. I mean, thanks so much. And like this, guys, I'm sure they pay land use charges.
Oh, yeah.
And when you pay to the government on a property, it means it legitimizes the property in a certain way. So you don't think you're doing anything wrong. And the enforcement should really come while they're building.
I agree. Let's see more tweets if we do have some. Let's see what Nigerians are also saying concerning this. Dele B. Uduyemi says, no one builds in Lagos without some form of official approval or documentation, like Benga also highlighted just now. Accountability should not stop at the demolition stage. It should extend to those who authorized, the same thing the first tweet said, who authorized and benefited from illegal allocations. Only then can we achieve lasting solutions to flooding. I agree with you 100%. Well done, sir. Hopefully the flooding gets addressed and the smelling gets reduced by jailing more makeshift traders unfit for a mega city such as Lagos. Shops should not have extensions. Demolish them. Some rent a shop and then extend twice the size of the shop in the front.
You know, there's certain areas in Lagos that almost all their fences are shops.
I agree.
People don't have fences for the sake of having a fence.
Yeah.
But, you know, people always excuse it as, you know, the economic situation in the country and all of that. Yeah.
The canal can be dredged to have more depth. That's how it is in
an advanced country.
But in Nigeria, it's looking different. Just scatter now. Wow. Well, I also agree with you. There's some canals you see. You're asking yourself, okay, how much water
but
can
you
this
need
hold?
depth
You
and
need depth,
width.
yes,
too.
width, so it can pass through.
But he's saying instead of demolishing their houses, they should make it 6 feet deeper.
Anyway, that's what we're going to take, but very, very sad, and it's sad. But let's go to our final story today here on Wake Up Conversation. The final story is about somebody who has been talking tough. Yesterday, he said that the good work he has done for the PDP has now led to, apart from him having been criticized of working with the APC, has now helped members of the PDP to now move to the APC. So therefore, he should receive some form of kudos. Now that's one. Just yesterday again, he spoke out and said, I found out that somebody is eating or celebrating his birthday with some kids, you know. And he said, if you like, eat all you can. You will never be president. You will not win. I'm talking about the FCT minister.
That's a bit harsh. They should wait for Nigerians to decide.
Mr. Peter Obi.
He said that Obi will continue to contest as social media
Let him
president.
continue as a social media president.
Wow.
All right.
Let's take a listen.
One of the social media presidential candidates went to one of the local authority area schools. I was saying that government will abandon public schools. In particular, his name is Mr. Peter Obi. It's not everything you must play politics. It's not just to go to social media to think that they will love you. You continue to contest as president in social media, but not as president of Nigeria. I hear one of the social media presidential
Well. That's the man himself. Yes, Wiki, talking about every single thing, stating clearly that he remains a social media president. I really don't understand what but let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly. Let's see what Nigerians are saying, and then we'll come back for the reactions quickly. Now, Admiral Bliss, Binga, go ahead.
Admiral Bliss says, why you keep having sleepless nights? Why do you keep having sleepless nights on a person you think can't get any votes? And he pulled over 6 million votes in the last elections held in 2023. Even with all your fraudulent ways to steal his votes, he still pulled that much. And remember, when you said that we are just 3 people tweeting in a room then, okay. Let's see what Nigerians are saying. The next one, Jagaban Warrior says, whether we like it or not, Wike is stating a political fact. Without nationwide structure and grassroots reach, social media presence alone cannot win a presidential election in Nigeria.
It's correct. And also, his name is Jagaban Warrior.
Yes, but then again, he came third without
a quote-unquote political structure.
Without a political structure and base. And with this social media, he defeated Mr. President in his home state, in a state where the president has been governor for 8 years. I mean, that's a force to reckon with. Honorable Ayodele Stawa says, I think Nigerians need to show Wike how the citizens behave when their rights are stepped on. This one has too much confidence. Okay.
All right. Another one. Akata Chukwuemeka Romanus. Come on. Someone should tell Wike to emulate other ministers by focusing on his job and leave Tinubu with his supporters and SA and PA. He can't be minister and PA as well. His noise is attracting more problems to him than good. APC has bid their department to react to the oppositions.
You're right, because, I mean, we've seen other ministers in this cabinet. You wouldn't see a Bosun Tijani making such statements or Wale Edu disparaging another individual. There's a way you could carry out your work with all respect and dignity without, you know.
But we know that Wike is.
Wike is he's a classic Nigerian politician. You know, they like to throw jabs here and there. And also, in fairness, people come for him, so he has decided to come for them too.
Well,
but Michelle Obama said,
when they go low, we go high. Not for Wike. When they go low, he goes low.
Let me see you.
Well, that was good, though. That was really good. But yes, Nigerian politics will continue to it will continue to evolve. I don't think that we've seen the end
That's
of
why
social media criticism.
in our political lexicon, you often hear the phrase, the murky waters of Nigerian politics. Murky. That's a potter water, dirty water. And you don't see in other climes people associate politics with dirtiness.
Is why, even though...
We need to change that narrative. Politics is not dirty. It's decisions politicians take affect our lives in all ramifications. So we need to treat it with utmost seriousness. I don't leave you for motor park touts. You need to get your voter's card. You need to be very politically aware and savvy, and also follow the process. And one mistake we often make is, we think in 4-year cycles, electoral cycles. We don't understand that it's an ongoing process. Every day is different. You can make a difference every day. There's a recall process. You could petition, you could lobby, you could, go to your local government chairman's office. Why is this road this way? We demand accountability.
Can you do
not
that
just
today?
sit back, relax, and
Enjoy
wait for
yourself.
4 years and then point to Abuja that the man on the seat is the cause of all your problems.
Yeah.
No, there are more than 100 elective positions in Nigeria. So.
Well,
presidency is just
speaking
one
about
man.
the murky waters of politics, when we're talking about the murky waters, and you talked about how politics is portal. No matter how much
Is
of
what?
a
Is what?
portal.
Okay.
Portal in politics. No matter how much portal is there, Governor Perulu can walk through the portal.
Yes.
Governor will enter gutter. Governor.
Producers, please, can we have that?
But for real, on a more serious
That
note,
should be our video of the week.
on a more
I think it's
serious
a
note,
new thing we need to bring back.
Right.
On Breakfast.
Video of
Let's
the
have a video of the week.
and photo of the week.
And photo of the week, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that photo of the week.
I already know the
yesterday.
photo of the
No,
week.
not really. I think
No, photo of the week.
awards. So we give
Most-
best story of the week, and then the person we'll find another word.
We'll find a way around it. But I think that, and I agree with the sentiment that Gbenga shares regarding politics being murky, the murky waters of politics. Politics will continue to remain dirty so long as people do not show interest. The more you sit on the sidelines and ask for change, the lesser the chances of you getting. You must be involved. Being involved does not necessarily mean you have to run for office. It means that you will ask questions. You'll be aware of how political parties are run. You will maybe register with you will register with a political party. Because the change that we seek oftentimes isn't done from the outside. As citizens, you have to be a part of the process. 2027 will come, and the conversation would be to choose from A, B, or C. But the options can only be selected from the political parties, and you have to work your way up there. So if we're going to see the change that we want in the nearest future, we cannot sit on the sidelines and fold our hands and not being interested in how political parties are run. If we must demolish the current faulty structures that exist in Nigeria's political space, then we must all be a part of the process. Everybody, all young people as well, must be a part of the process. But, that's our closing shot for Wake Up Conversations. The show now officially begins. Let's share with you what our headlines are on Breakfast Central. Our top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. Senate confirms Amupitan as the new INEC Chairman. Congratulations are in order, I guess. River State annuls 134 billion naira projected awarded by Ibas. That's why we will answer when we look into the story. Federal government introduces sign language to schools. Fantastic. Inclusion at its finest. Senate stalls on Electoral Act amendment bill. Why? We will find out again. We'll review the newspaper front pages with our analysts, and remember, we also have entertainment today. Join us for all these and more. The 134 billion naira contract awarded under emergency rule by former sole administrator Vice Admiral Ikot-Ette Ibas has been revoked, and the government is now demanding a refund of 20 billion naira already paid to the contractor. China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation. This isn't just about money. It's about accountability, governance, and the rule of law. Joining us this morning for the discussion is constitutional lawyer Evans Ufeli as we unpack the implications of this development. Thank you very much, Mr. Ufeli, for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you.
All right, so now 134 billion naira. Before this conversation, or this latest development, there were calls for every money spent during the sole administrator's time to be reviewed and sort of a thorough investigation, and now this has come out. Would you say that, first of all, let's get your thoughts on it before I go to my next question, because my next question was to ask if the same rules apply in terms of administering projects during its regular democratic rule, because I don't know if to call what happened under the Vice Admiral a democratic rule.
It's an aberration.
Well, but if the same rules apply for awarding a contract, well, let's get your initial reaction to the story.
Yeah, if you look at what the what do you call it, the permanent secretary said about the project, that due process was not followed, okay, and it was done hurriedly, more like the sole administrator was just eager to award contracts, okay. And so, because of that, the State Executive Council came together and said that they will have to, withdraw that contract for so many reasons, and they will have to pre-qualify. They're going to open it for another bidding process. So the irregularities associated with the way it was awarded is what instigated what has happened. But apart from that, everything the sole administrator did under the law was illegal in the first place. So if they are cherry picking one or two that maybe appear even badly, everything was bad. You understand? So the ones that maybe strike the chords, okay, and then they are picking that. And remember, it's not Fubara, because when I read the news, it was like Fubara withdrew. The State Executive Council. That means the governor, and the minister, commissioners rather, and some of the permanent secretaries in the ministries, okay? So that constitutes what you call State Executive Council. And it is their right to so do if anything has been done. Because first, the sole administrator didn't have the mandate of the people to govern them. So anything he has done under the process, the 6 months, was actually illegal. But if they are saying this particular, and they've asked for what do you call a refund, I think of 20 billion naira initial, 20 billion naira paid for the contract. They've asked for that. So with investigations like this, we'll get to understand really what must have transpired. And if anybody have done anything untoward, that refund will reveal more things to us.
Now, Barrister Ufeli, we do understand, like you said, that what happened in Rivers State was not constitutional.
Yes.
Having said that, given that the order given to the sole administrator was to restore peace and keep the peace in Rivers State, did he have any business awarding contracts to the tune of 120 billion in the first place? And what could spur this sort of urgency, knowing that you're only going to be there, your initial assignment was for 6 months?
Yeah, that is what we're talking about, and that is why the probe is necessary, because his assignment is actually how be it unconstitutional, the illegal assignment, let me put it that way, repose on him was to bring peace, and to bring the warring parties to order. Do you know that he never did that? But before the appointment, immediately after the appointment, he talked about the fact that he's going to call all parties together, they will be on a round table, they will make sure that peace, reign and the rest of that. But when he took the mantle of leadership, that assignment was kept aside.
Abuja called them, so he probably thought it was unnecessary.
No, Abuja called them, that was at the tail end of the conversation. At the beginning, the man was much more interested in the resource of the state, the management of the resource, than he was of the crisis there. Saying you want to put an end to the crisis when it is the crisis that actually gave you the windfall. He played the game there because from what I see, not like peace has even returned to the state. So what exactly has it done?
He conducted elections, local government elections.
The elections,
they were peaceful.
The elections he conducted.
Peaceful election.
No, the elections he conducted. I don't know whether anybody has challenged them, but in the eyes of the law, they are not proper before the law. But you know, the law is not going to enforce itself
unless
someone have to, you know, file a case, then move the hand of the court to determine whether or not those elections are proper or improper. But
I mean, you in your response now, you had just said you're wondering what the Vice Admiral did, because it's not like peace has returned to Rivers State. But many would disagree with you. There doesn't seem to be chaos right now. Or what should have been in place to convince you that peace has returned to Rivers State? Well,
for now, the warring parties, they appear to have sheathed their sword and all that. But what I mean by peace, peace in the sense of there's a probe ongoing, okay? There are so many irregularities he introduced while he was trying to make peace, or while he was trying to bring the state to normalcy. So these irregularities, one of them is the 34 billion naira we're talking about today. There are other issues. I mean, the government in power today will review everything that was done under the sole administrator. Not like the sole administrator even impressed. I do not think so, because it doesn't look so too. I don't think the guy impressed Wike or the president, because you know the president summoned him not too long ago. I don't know that we're aware. Yes, the president. Yes, he had a one-on-one meeting with the president not too long ago, and I do not think that he actually impressed the president, and Wike could not complain because they brought it upon themselves. They had to even set up a committee, 21-member committee at the National Assembly, to monitor to oversight him, because at some point he was going overboard and the rest of that. And he has come out to say that he should not be probed.
So that's another issue.
So that's another question,
He said it, that yes, he is trying to stop that probe. But it's not possible, because there must be an audit, okay, of his conduct, financial and otherwise. Okay, everything, there must be an audit. And that audit is critical, it's important.
So the oversight is not enough?
No, the oversight is not enough now, because the oversight is not looking into the books. The oversight is only looking at his conduct, what he's doing and what he's not doing, and he has to be under watch. He has to feed the committee back as to what he intends to do and what he's doing and but as to looking into the details, okay, of what he did, you know, during the pendency of the emergency rule, is one that calls for serious review, which National Assembly oversight couldn't have taken. And it's important that now that the state is looking into the records proper, so the days to come will determine his stewardship.
But the 20 billion already given, paid for contracts to be done, can the state actually get it back? Is it possible?
Yeah, that's the issue of the law of contracts. Because contract is where you have the meeting of minds of the offeror and the offeree. And then you have acceptance in between. Okay, the reason they even commenced the work was because there was an acceptance. There was consideration. Consideration is the money paid. Okay, and there was intention to create legal relationship. That's the document signed. So all the elements of contracts have already been reached. Okay, but in contract, there's also, you can rescind contracts. Okay, that is if in the contract document there's a clause stating that if the state, you know, whatever it is. So I don't know I don't have the contract with me, but I know that when you are going into a contract with the state, it's always documented, and there are clauses that may vitiate the contract. Okay, and the conditions and terms must be followed. So it's a question of the nature of the contract, that whether they will get the money back or not.
The full sum.
Yes, whether they will get it back or not is a question of the kind of agreement they entered into. Okay, in the contract, was it stated anywhere that either party can revoke the contract? and asks for a refund. If it is there and both parties agree, then it will get the full money. But if it's not there, or if it's there that either party can revoke the contract, but there must be consideration as to work already done, or logistics and all that already mobilized, and the rest of that, then you will only get 30%. There are a lot of contracts like that. Most real estate contracts, if you want to revoke it, your money can be refunded to you, but it will be short of 30%. Or whatever it is you are paid.
Yeah.
So all those terms and conditions, yes, the state will abide by the terms and conditions in the contract. It is the contract that determines what will be the outcome.
All right. Let's talk about the president, because 134 billion naira will have not been approved to sole administrator if the president did not appoint a sole administrator in the first place, if there wasn't an emergency rule. Where does the president come into play in all of this, and how do you think the presidency should react or respond?
Well, now that we have gone back to proper democracy, the president have no role here because the states are autonomous, okay? So it is the state's executive council that can deal with that issue. Do you know that even a commissioner cannot award that amount? You understand? The volume, a commissioner cannot award that amount. And so it is only SEC, yes, it's only SEC, the State Executive Council, that can actually approve that amount, you understand, in conjunction with the State House of Assembly. But in this case, there was no State House of Assembly. There was no State House of Assembly.
So can it be termed to be illegal?
It's illegal. You see, there's nothing you can discuss about this subject matter that's not illegal. You see how we do. No, you see how we do it here. Each time we trying to talk law.
Yeah.
But the moment you're about to get into law, you just backtrack that. The whole thing is even illegal in the first place because expenditure is determined by the State House of Assembly.
And there was none.
There was none at the time.
But it was said that the National Assembly, the committee, would act as the State Assembly. Yeah. So that means this 134 billion, can we say that the House of Assembly committee that was set up?
You're right under the law where there's no State House of Assembly. You know, the provision of the law is that
the National Assembly.
Yes, the National Assembly will take over and provide that function for the state under reference. But whether that was reached or whether that approval is a different issue entirely, we cannot tell because we are not there and we don't know whether that approval came from them. But the question, another question there is that even if the approval came from them, can the substantive governor with its SEC members revoke it, even though it has legislative approval? That's another one. So that's another question. So that's why I said the days to come will determine whether or not. We are just talking this today. Nobody knows whether the contractors will go to court to say we can't refund because we have the authority, and nobody knows. Okay, so whatever it is they decide is a dispute. I mean, whatever it is they decide will determine whether or not they are getting the money back.
Okay, so what will be the next steps here?
Yes, the demand has been made.
Okay.
So, I mean, they will do a letter to the company under reference, making the demand, which they've done. You understand? Then the company will respond. Okay? So from there, they'll take it further.
Now, talking about accountability and looking at the stewardship of Admiral Ibas, in 6 months, feelings we're getting is that he's adamant and he's not willing to appear, to be summoned. The last communication was that Governor Fubara can't summon him. How do you force this sort of accountability? How do you force him to give stewardship of his reign as sole administrator in those 6 months? And why is it important to do so? Because on his head, he will be thinking that, look, there I was enjoying my retirement, and Mr. President called me to take up a national assignment, and I did it in the best, in my own patriotic spirit. And now you're asking, I was doing you a favor. Now you want to probe me.
No, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above probe or give account of your stewardship. Nobody's above that. You understand? Do you know that this same person, when he assumed office, he summoned Fubara? We discussed it here. When it's someone, we were saying that, what authority do you have to summon not for peace, not for peacekeeping or what, not like it's someone in both sides, say come let's, it's someone the governor. You understand? So now you're saying that you cannot be someone, you don't want to be someone and the rest of that. He said it, that it should not be probe and all that. He's trying to do all necessary to say. The moment you accept an appointment, okay, it comes with every other thing. You cannot just take the appointment and then you say you should not be probe and the rest of that. There's no way that will happen, because there must be an auditing process as to what you have done before now.
In 6 months.
Yes, it's not a family business. This is governance. You understand? Even if the governor does not summon you for probe, the state, the citizens can put up an inquiries. Yes, through the
Freedom
FOI and the rest of
freedom
that,
of
they can
information.
demand to know what went down within the 6 months when he was leading the state and all that. So they have a right, and the State House of Assembly too have a right to summon him, because most of those functions, if it were the governor that carried out those functions, the governor cannot carry out those functions in isolation of the State House of Assembly, because we are talking about a budget now. We're talking about what led to all this, that Fubara was presenting budget to 3 members and all that. It shouldn't be so. Later we went out all the issues, the problem, and the rest of that. So you notice you are spending from budget, and even when there was crisis in the state, the governor couldn't have even spent resources without, presenting a budget, even to 3 members. You understand? So if it's the same budget you are spending from, the same state resource that you are spending from, because whatever it is they gave to him, it's part of the revenue allocation of that state. Not like they gave him fresh, because people are saying that between that 6 months, this is the amount, it's a huge amount of money he received. But that money is not just free money from the federal government, it was a state allocation. Yes, it was a state allocation that they gave to him. And now the state allocations are going to increase, because according to the government, the subsidy funds that were saved up, they are giving it to governors every day. And that's why the governors are falling up on top of themselves, joining APC.
That's one question we'd love to ask.
Yes,
as well.
that's why now we now have a one-party state levy at.
We'll come back to probe into that further. Let's go on a very quick break. And when we come back, the conversation will take a different turn. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the state of the nation and exploring some of the latest happenings. And this time, the conversation takes a different turn. We're looking at the latest regarding the clemency awarded by the president. And I think the question that comes to mind is, can you unpardon a pardon? Benga?
I beg your pardon?
We have
In what world?
In what world? We have Barrister Evans Ofeli, who's a constitutional lawyer, and will give us a legal perspective into how this, is run. Now, Mr. Ofeli, you were aware of the 175 names.
Yes.
They hit social media, they hit the media. There was public backlash. Backlash first because of the names, certain names that had made the list. Criticism and analysis. Yes, we recognize that the president has the constitutional right to exercise his prerogative of mercy, and it's called prerogative for a reason. But the question was, some names seemed very questionable on the list. Now, we had Mr. Temitope Ajayi on the show, and we talked about this. He said that the president, that there was a committee constituted of different stakeholders who reviewed the list and presented this list. Now, this was presented to the president. But we're now hearing the latest update from the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice. He says the presidential pardon list is currently at the final administrative stage, which involves reviewing the names and recommendations. Reviewing the names and recommendations, we had thought that the pardon was already granted.
Yes, the pardon ought to have been granted even before it is released to the public. But what you have now is a discordance, because if you look at Section 175 of the Constitution, it empowers the president to grant clemency. Therefore, prerogative of mercy is an executive remedy, an executive solution. What it does is that there are certain considerations that is required where perhaps the person involved, that is the ex-convict now, or the convict, maybe there was a wrong conviction, or maybe the person was rightfully convicted and now is very remorseful of the offense, and there are a lot of other factors, that must have constituted the fact that such remedy is critical. Maybe the person is very ill, okay, and the rest of that. There's so many factors. Yeah, the person have children that have been, and all that. So when you have all that, that will be consideration. It is the president's prerogative, truly, but it should be exercised judicially and judiciously. Okay, it should be exercised judicially and judiciously. So where you now have names of persons who contributed to the breakdown of society, who contributed immensely to where we find ourselves today, okay, then you now see names flying all over the place. The likes of Lawan, the likes of James Ivori and the rest of that. A lot of names. The other lady that murdered the husband, many names like that. People are saying that you are going to use this to embolden people who commit offenses when they know that they can actually apply for prerogative of mercy and the rest of that. They will not, be cautious of how they conduct themselves in society. And first, it is not just the president. A committee was set up. The Attorney General is there. And the Council of State. The Council of State being the highest advisory body in the country.
So they had two justices.
Yeah, you have justice, you have past president. All past presidents, IGs of police, then that constitute the State Council of State. Their input was also there, you understand? But the Attorney General just came out recently to say that it's under review. That is after the public outcry, that this power is not supposed to be used this way. There's an abuse of the power. That's what people are saying, and people are not happy with the number, that the number is too much.
175.
Yes, and that the persons that populated that list are not even persons that ought to get it. There's a young man that was convicted not too long ago in Adamawa State.
Yes, Jackson.
Yes. I'm not sure he made the list.
He didn't.
Yes.
He didn't make the list.
Kind of person.
In self-defense.
Yes.
Yeah,
Somebody, yes. You know that the conviction was painful. You understand? So those are the kind of people where there have been maybe some moral issues around a very difficult situation, and it led to someone committing an offense and the rest of that. Those are issues. And maybe there is serious ailment and the rest of that. But what the Attorney General is doing now appears to me like damage control. Okay? Because it's going to rewrite the rules, or is about to rewrite the rules as I see them, because if the president has pardoned someone, the person stands pardon. Okay? There is no provision in the Constitution that says that pardon can be revoked. There is no provision where it says that it can be revoked. It is a part, but the Attorney General also have his own powers. You understand? To grant, to take over and discontinue criminal matter. That is during the pendency of it. That's before conviction. But once conviction happens, it's only the president that can, the president and the governor. President for federal offenses and the governor for state offenses.
So that means the Attorney General has a right to intervene in the case of Nnamdi Kanu?
Very well. He can take over and discontinue it. He can discontinue completely. You understand? But after conviction, it's only the president that can, grant prerogative of mercy.
What about the argument for decongesting our prisons? Because we do know that we have an overcrowded prison problem in Nigeria, and some have argued that this prerogative of mercy is a way of decongesting the prisons. Isn't this something positive?
Yeah, it's a way. Yeah, it's a way of decongesting the prison, except that it is only the well-to-do that we're not decongesting. If the idea is to decongest the prison, then anybody whose case borders on, those issues aforementioned, the person should be able to get it.
Awaiting trial for a long time, issues like that.
Yes. No, those ones that are awaiting trial.
Yes. Oh,
convicted. The Attorney General,
yes.
The Attorney General can take over and discontinue those ones, yes. But for the ones that have been condemned already, because even the lady that killed her husband, yes, she's going to be there, because first, once you are condemned, you are taken to the cell where they keep condemned people. and you'll be waiting for the hangman. Nobody knows when the hangman is going to come. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that, first, governors have not been signing.
They don't want ghosts to come and visit them.
Yes, they've not been signing executive warrants. That's one. Two, even when they sign, there's no hangman in the country as we speak. Okay, yes.
And you are complaining about unemployment.
People should go and get those jobs. I mean, the hangman.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So are you? No hangman. So we have not been executing people. The last time it happened was in Edo State some years
under Oshomole.
Yes. So nobody is going to kill anybody. The person will just be there, you know, until maybe something
the person,
like,
taking care of the person.
Yes. They'll be feeding and taking care of the person. So until there's anything like this, maybe a program of mercy, or you apply for pardon and the rest of that. That is the only way you can get it. Because people have argued that we should take death sentence out of our laws because we're not even using it. We're not, even we complain that the prisons are filled up. They are filled up with persons whose cases have been concluded. Yes, whose cases have been concluded. All governors are dodging it. Nobody is ready to sign any death.
Why are they dodging it?
Spiritual connotations. Do you want to be the person that sent somebody to heaven or hell?
Also, because there's public backlash, not just like in the West and other parts of the continent. The abolitionists.
Okay, what about terrorists and murderers? I mean,
in the prison cell, you have some who are equally terrorists.
Very well, yes. You have a lot of persons who have been convicted that just, they are there. So the prisons will always be congested as long as we are not following through the process,
Okay, Barrister Ofeli, since the dawn of this present democratic experience, since 1999, have we ever had the president exercise this prerogative of mercy? And why is this such a big deal now? And why is it causing this amount of uproar in public?
Jonathan exercised the prerogative of mercy when he pardoned Alamesia. Yes, so even in the West, Trump in his first term, released a lot of, granted pardon to a lot of persons and all that. So it's a function that is a prerogative of the president to so do. We've always had this situation, even in our democratic engagement. It's legal, but that window should not be abused. That's what I'm saying. It's legal. The window should not be abused.
Is there a cap as to how many times you can exercise in a presidential term?
No, there's none. It's just open for the president. That's why it's called anything that has to do with prerogative.
Your discretion.
So you can it 3 times in a
year.
And that makes me wonder, 175 at a go. Maybe the president had done the likes of Herbert Macaulay and so on, do with them, then later on come back and do the next one.
You haven't asked him about that, because
there's no law that said that he should do it.
It's okay. He can choose to do it whichever way he wants to.
Besides, 175 can't just be poetic. 175 based on section 175.
Well, maybe. What do you make of going as far back as colonial times? Because I'm pardoning the likes of Herbert Macaulay.
Yes, because the stigma still rests on the family, even though it was.
Yeah, but it wasn't the federal government of Nigeria's constituted.
Yeah, it's not the federal government of Nigeria. Well, the man is a nationalist. Okay, if you have him even in your currency, it shows that he's someone that made impact.
Yeah.
Okay, and then have been convicted by the colonial authorities and all that for leading protests, for activism and advocacy. You understand? So it is not out of place.
What of Kensarurua? Shouldn't there have been an accompanying apology?
Yeah, that's a different conversation entirely. It has to do with apology, because the president also sent delegates to, in his own case, to, and the clause there is that they want to resume oil exploration. Yeah, that
same place.
Yes, the delegates, because since 1993, 92, till now, nobody has gone there to try anything oil exploration. Okay, and it's actually a very rich area. So some persons have argued that the president all he needed to do is just to pardon Kensarurua and not talk about that going
oil
back.
Exploration.
Yeah, for now, until because tempers are very high over there.
They should read the room.
As to what has happened so far.
All right. Evans Ofeli, thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you to our viewers. We'll switch to another conversation, but right after this break. Please stay with us.
The Nigerian Senate has confirmed Professor Joash Amupitan as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Senior advocate of Nigeria, Amupitan was grilled for 3 hours before receiving unanimous approval. But while one door opens, another slams shut. The much anticipated amendment to the Electoral Act meant to address the flaws of the 2023 elections has hit a major roadblock in the Senate.
The process for consideration and passage of the bill on the Electoral Act amendment was already on after the chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, Senator Simon Lalong, Plateau South, read a lead debate on it, but was later stood down after debates from lawmakers raising concerns on the need to stipulate the nitty-gritty of areas in the bill that needed amendments. Joining us for today's discussion on a National Assembly, we do have another guest who is here with us. He is a member of the civil society organization. Mr. Dominic Alancha joins us this morning via video conferencing. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off first with the new INEC boss, and let's look at the role that he has right in front of him, looking back to 2023. Can you shed more light on the possibilities of having a change from what we had in 2023 in terms of ensuring that technology plays its role? But first of all, tell us your thoughts of the new INEC boss.
Well, thank you very much. For me, as an individual, I think I have a lot of confidence on the new INEC boss, because if you have been following what, the reaction.
All right, network connectivity issues again on a Friday. We're talking with Mr. Dominic Alancha. He is speaking with us concerning what transpired in the National Assembly yesterday, from reviewing and eventually commenting, and also... okay, he's back. Are you there?
Outside. Tell me.
Are you back?
Yes, I believe we have Mr. Alancha. Go ahead and make your submission.
Okay, yes. What I was trying to say is that, given his appointments, by Mr. President, there were a lot of reactions from Nigerians. And, if you look at the reactions coming in from Nigerians, it's been in the positive. This is because Nigerians have a lot of confidence in him that he's going to do the needful, because if you look at his record, it's a very clean record. He's apolitical, and he has what it takes: the competence, the capacity, the integrity, to drive, and to, pilot the affairs of INEC. INEC is one of the most difficult, institutions to administer or to administrate. But this man, we believe that he has the competence, the capacity, and the experience. And if you look at, if you follow up with the screening yesterday, there were a lot of concerns that were, expressed. Questions were thrown to him on how to go about them. And to the best of his knowledge, and he was able to, profile some solutions to it, even though he has not taken over properly as the INEC, substantive INEC chairman. He promised that when he did that, he's going to open the books and then see the areas he really needs to come in. But some of the concerns that were expressed yesterday were ranging from, the Ibas, the biometric voters accreditation system, the electronic transmission of results, the challenges that also comes with that, because ranging from security, the lack of network in some areas, and stuff like that. So I think that Nigerians should have faith and confidence in this man, Professor Joash Amupitan, that he's going to deliver a sound, credible election comes 2027. The reforms yesterday, I wouldn't say it has suffered a setback. but rather some event has overtaken it. And I believe the confirmation of Amupitan yesterday was the reason behind the step down. But some media went on reporting that it suffered a setback. I disagree with that notion. I disagree with that assertion that it suffers a setback. There is still time. It can come up any day, anytime. I believe that within this legislative sitting days, they are going to bring it up and then they will do the needful. Senator Simon Lalong is committed, to doing his job. And I believe that he will do the needful, because if you look at, he also expressed some concern, especially with, he was the one that came up with the question of the security issues. How the INEC chairman intend to handle, security, on that day and stuff like that. So let's trust God that, we are going to have, because the 2022 Electoral Act exposes our flaws in our election system. There is need for amendment of, the 2022 Electoral Act, so that some of those flaws that were identified can be corrected. And already the outgoing his predecessor, Mahmoud, submitted, I think, about 27 amendments to the National Assembly for consideration.
Okay, I would just to get some clarity from your end, what would you say are some of the most pressing issues that Mr. Amupitan needs to attend to, especially because there's a huge distrust between the citizenry and the Electoral Commission? So what are some of the immediate changes he will need to make to guarantee that we're on the way to rebuilding that trust?
Well, I do not envisage immediate changes that he needs to make. You need to really give him time to, settle down in his new office, so that he will be able to look at some of the challenges and then proffer, solution. If it's changes, that is within his powers to do. But for me to begin to envisage those changes, I don't think so. But what we are looking at is the Electoral Act, because the Electoral Act is our grand norms, for conducting elections in Nigeria. And there are flaws that have been identified, especially, like I said, in the areas of security, in the areas of electronic transmission, in the areas of electronic accreditations and stuff like that. The aspect of, incident form need to also be looked into, because these are some of the areas that some people will completely jettison the use of the beavers, and then begin to use the incident form. So some of these areas need to be looked into, because from those, if those loopholes are allowed to exist, it will not be everywhere. Rigging is inevitable.
You say that we shouldn't expect immediate changes and that we need some time for him to be able to settle into the role and effect the changes.
We expect changes. We expect changes, but I'm saying for me to begin to outline those changes now is not within my powers to do.
All right.
And we shouldn't expect that, because INEC Chairman should be allowed to settle down and then identify where he needs to make changes.
So the question I wanted to ask you
now is the aspect of the
Electoral Act.
2022 Electoral Act amendment.
So my question is, will there be enough time for him to settle in and be ready? Do you think he'll be ready by the next elections?
I believe that by this morning, the man should hit the ground running. There is no time, because, going by the proposed, some of the issues the Senate are proposing, that the election should hold in 2026, 6 months before the swearing in, so that all the litigations can be dealt with and settled in court before swearing in. So there is no time. If that is going to fly, you will agree with me that there is no going to be time. The INEC chairman should settle down and hit the ground running, with regards to what he needs to do. Definitely, there are going to be changes, but these are administrative issues. So it's left for him to identify those administrative changes he needs to do in order to ensure that he succeeds, because the buck ends on his table. All the commissioners, all the INEC directors, all the field workers are under him, and he takes responsibility because the buck ends on his table. So I believe that if he's allowed to settle down, 1 week is enough for him to settle down, look at the books, open the books, look at them, and then proffer, 1 or 2 solutions with regards to how his administration in INEC can be very successful.
Now, Mr. Alancha, at the National Assembly yesterday, Professor Amupitan was grilled for about 3 hours, and he also denied any ties to the ruling APC. I believe this sort of questioning would have been avoided if he wasn't appointed by Mr. President. And there's been a growing debate about the true independence of INEC if the chairman is an appointee of the president, because they say he who plays the piper dictates the tune. So how do we ensure the I in INEC remains truly independent if Mr. President is the one making the appointment of the INEC chair, even though it's subject to approval by the National Assembly?
When I saw those insinuations flying all over the media that he was a member of, in fact, they didn't say a member, they said he was a lead counsel in the 2023 presidential election petition tribunal for APC. I went into research immediately, and I realized that he was never appointed. They were mistaking Professor Taiwo Osipitan with Professor Joash Amupitan. So these are 2 different names. He was never a member of that legal team. That has been settled. Even the coordinator of the legal team, which is Professor SAN, Barrister Babatunde Ogaga, released a statement to clear that insinuations that it is a false allegation. So for me, I think that INEC is truly independent, because our constitution, the act establishing INEC, has made it independent. Now, this is going to be predicated on the individual heading INEC. Is it truly apolitical? Yes, I think, Amupitan is apolitical because he has never been a member of any political party. If you go through his resume yesterday, you realize that, which senators really interrogated, you realize that since the day he graduated, while he was in NYC, he has been in the academic system. Even when, for a short period of time, he was a pro-vice chancellor in one of, I think, Joseph Babalola University or something like that, and the chairman of a council. And so his whole life has been within the academic. He has never been a political, he has never affiliated with any political party for one to begin to question his integrity, his political status and stuff like that. So for me, I think INEC will be independent, given the fact that the new sheriff in INEC now is a political ab initio. From beginning, he has never affiliated with any political party. So for me, Nigerians should look forward to a truly independent INEC. And the president appointing, INEC chairman, people have been saying that power should be taken away from him. Well, it is left for constitutional amendment to do that, because he does that appointment based on the constitutional provision, that the powers is within him to approve, and the state council of states to also endorse, and then INEC would confirm. So that is a constitutional matter that has to go through amendment. But for me, I expect and I believe that Professor Amupitan will give us, a very sound, credible, transparent election comes 2027.
Okay. I know we've touched on it already, but just yesterday, Senator Lalong presented the Electoral Amendment Bill, which was actually stepped down by the Senate. And the Senate President, Fabio, had reminisced about the unjust 2019 experience. But we do have an urgency, and I know you also realize that. The civil society organizations have come together. They've also talked about the need for a complete electoral amendment bill that needs to be really looked into. Which of the aspects of the amendment bill do you think is very critical and must be touched on in your years of reviewing elections and the bill itself?
Well, for me, I think I can't point at the particular section, where the particular clause where this is, but the aspect of electronic transmission real time
always the same.
Was the major issue we had in 2023. A lot of persons believe that election should be transmitted electronically in real time, where at the National Collation Center, as the results are coming in, people are viewing it, people are recording it, people are following it up in real time so that there won't be rigging. So that ambiguity that is in the electoral has to be amended. Is there any provision that should there be failure in the aspect of electronic transmission, maybe the network failure, or maybe the issue of hacking that INEC said their server were hacked? Is there any provision that said that manual collection should be done, which was eventually applied in 2023? So for Nigerians to have confidence in this incoming chairman of INEC, or the newly appointed substantive chairman of INEC, Professor Joash Amupitan, there is need for those amendments to be very, clear. And Amupitan stated it yesterday that it needs the collaboration of the National Assembly. Look, I tell people that if we really want to have a free, fair, credible election, it does depend on what the National Assembly is doing with our Electoral Act. If the National Assembly can put up a very sound, a very robust, Electoral Act for the people out there, because the professor cannot go out of Electoral Act and conduct the election, then we are going to have a very sound and credible election in 2023. In 2027, I mean to say.
Now, finally, Mr. Alancha, before we let you go, we have elections in Anambra State, staggered off-cycle gubernatorial elections coming up in November. What are your expectations from that elections, and could it be used as a sort of litmus test to see how to see the performance
the
of
new INEC
Professor
Chairman will
Amupitan?
use that as a litmus test to understudy the system, because that's going to be one of his first elections. So he should use Anambra election to understudy the system, and of course it's a litmus test for him with regards to whether the Nigeria election comes 2027 will be free, fair, and credible.
All right. Anyway, thanks for talking to us. It's been a pleasure having you join us, Mr. Dominic Alancha. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Away from that, let's tell you that the Senate has screened and approved the nomination of Professor Joash Amupitan, just like the conversation we had. He is now the new INEC boss, President Bola Tinubu's nominee, by the way. The screening, which lasted for several hours, was held during plenary after the upper chamber suspended its rules to allow the nominee and his family into the chamber. New Central's National Assembly correspondent Sagir Ibrahim tells us more in this package.
Thursday's plenary focused on strengthening Nigeria's electoral process as its major agenda. Gears switched quickly, first with the Senate Majority Leader moving a motion for its rules to be suspended to allow strangers enter the hallowed chambers, giving way for the arrival of Joash Amupitan, a professor of law and senior advocate of Nigeria, nominated by President Bola Tinubu to replace Professor Mahmood Yakubu as its substantive chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. After preliminary introduction, lawmakers took turns posing questions to the nominee, focusing on INEC's independence, transparency, technology, security, inclusivity, and electoral law reform. Professor Amupitan pledged to restore credibility and trust through a comprehensive institutional audit and stronger internal control.
IRF was supposed to provide some guarantees and checks and balances. But owing to the issues of glitches, that eroded the confidence of so many people. I have to audit the system if I'm given the opportunity. There is a need for an Electoral Offences Commission. INEC does not really have the capacity presently, and strengthening the internal disciplinary procedure following due process to ensure that those that are involved in such misconduct are brought to book.
Mr. President, we want to assure you that this man before you will not disappoint this nation. He's a man of trust. He's a man of integrity.
I wish Professor Amupitan well and pray that his services will improve the electoral process, lead to more transparency, and ensure that every vote counts, and that the winners are truly the ones that are announced.
After over 2 hours of intense grilling and satisfied with his responses, the Senate moved a motion for the nominee to take a bow and exit the chambers before subsequently approving and confirming his appointment as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
With renewed public appetite for electronic transmission of results and diaspora voting, expectations are high that Professor Joash Amupitan's leadership will strengthen confidence in the electoral process and set a new standard for Nigeria's democracy. From the National Assembly, Abuja, for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
The Rivers State Executive Council has terminated the contract for the renovation of the State Secretariat, which was awarded by the outgone sole administrator of the state, Admiral Ibok-Ette Ibas, retired. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Works, Austin Ezekiel Hart, told newsmen at the end of the Executive Council meeting held at the Government House in Port Harcourt that the contractor has been directed to refund the 20 billion naira mobilization fee received. Ibas set out to renovate the complex following the directive by the House of Representatives ad hoc Committee on Rivers Emergency.
The Executive Council approved the cancellation of the contract of the renovation, retrofitting, and furnishing of the River State Secretariat complex, and also directed the refund of 20 billion naira paid as mobilization to the contractors. Secondly, after due deliberations, the Executive Council approved the revalidation of the bidding process for all the 4 contracts earlier advertised in the national dailies of 19 February 2025. And these are: 1, the construction of 4.8 kilometer reinforced concrete shoreline protection and reclamation of Queenstown and Iloma minimal communities in Opobo and Koro local government area of Rivers State. 2, construction of 2.5 kilometer shoreline protection and reclamation in Ndoni, Oniku, Isiku, Ase Azagi communities in Ogba, Egbema, Ndoni local government area, which was put together as lot B1 on the 3, construction of 2.5 kilometer shoreline protection and reclamation in Otuechi, Obiofu, East Sala, and Eze, Odugri communities in Ogba, Egbema, and Ndoni local government area, which is said to be the lot B2. And thirdly, And number 4, the renovation, retrofitting, furnishing of the River State Secretariat Complex, as it affects the Ministry of Works. That was approval granted or given by the River State Executive Council.
A revocation happening there in Rivers State. But let's also inform you that the Senate on Thursday stepped down the second reading of a bill seeking to repeal the Electoral Act 2022 and enact a new Electoral Bill 2025 after it was actually heard in the chamber, the Red Chamber particularly. The bill sponsored by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, Senator Simon Along, is looking to strengthen Nigeria's electoral system through greater transparency, vote participation, and not forget to accountability. Now, this is very serious because Senator Along, while leading the debate on the bill's basic principles, said the 2023 general election exposed several gaps, including a weak enforcement of laws, conflicting results, remember what we saw in the IRF portal, and so on, and poor transparency, stressing that the proposed legislation aims to restore public trust, mandate continuous voter registration, and introduce digital voter identification systems. Now, while several lawmakers, including Senators Emmanuel Udende and Titus expressed support for the bill, others raised procedural and timing concerns. Senator Binus Yaro questioned the legislative process, noting that a public hearing had already been held on the bill even before its formal second reading in the Senate. What about the Senate President? What did he say? Well, Godswill Akpabio, who arrived midway into plenary, weighed in on the need for a more comprehensive review, recounting his 2019 election experience and calling for stronger accountability measures for the electoral umpire. Now, following suggestions for further consultations, the Senate leader announced that the bill would be stepped down to another legislative day. So we're hoping to see what this legislative day will be. But just take a listen.
The key objectives of the proposed legislation, Mr. President, are to bring about improvement in the electoral process by ensuring transparency, efficiency, and integrity of the electoral system.
On Monday, the public hearing was held, and this bill has been listed for second reading, I think last week. It wasn't taken. Because we want to complete this work in good time, we have abridged the process.
Senator Lalong, you have not touched the nitty-gritty of the reason why you want us to pass this for second reading. Yes, you are supposed to talk about general principles. General principles will be okay. But what have you been able to tell us?
So, Benga, what we've seen is getting a lot of persons wondering if ever the Electoral Amendment Bill will ever see the light of day. It's a conversation that's really deep. I don't know, but that's what we're getting to see, Benga.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful. They just need to address some technicalities and, of course, wider consultations for Nigerians to be able to, contribute their quota into the discussion, and then it will be back to the floor of the Nigerian Senate. I'm very hopeful we'll get some level of amendments and before 2027. Yes.
Anyway, let's also mention that while we're talking about the electoral bill, you can also feel free to go on all our socials and check out some of the stories that we have down there, and you can also comment on each or any one of them. But then again, let's inform you that Breakfast Central continues as we will be taking a look at another very interesting story. At this time, the federal government has approved a new policy to make sign language a compulsory part of basic education curriculum across Nigeria. The initiative, led by the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, aims to promote inclusive education and ensure that children with hearing impairments are not left behind. Though Nigeria currently lacks a unified sign language, American Sign Language, that's ASL, as it remains the most widely used in schools and among interpreters. Now, this development follows a sweeping curriculum overall, as the federal government had recently introduced Mandarin Chinese as an optional foreign language in senior secondary schools, while removing mathematics as a compulsory admission requirement for arts and humanities students.
The changes have been met with mixed reactions, as critics say the removal of mathematics for art students could erode academic standards and weaken critical thinking skills. Some educators and analysts have highlighted possible challenge in training Mandarin teachers, securing curriculum materials, and ensuring uniform implementation across the country. Still, supporters of the reforms argue the changes reflect a push towards modern relevance, global competitiveness, and equitable access to education.
Okay, so I think we should begin first with the government introducing sign language into our curriculum, which we think is a positive step in the right direction. If we look at where we are as a nation when it comes to conversations about inclusion, we're a far cry from where we ought to be, and it's in many things. I saw a video. I wish we had downloaded that video. It's a video of a content creator, Hawa, when she talked about inclusion. She said that she went for an event recently and she saw that there was a sign language interpreter there, and it just dawned on her at that moment that the previous events she had been attending, she had never seen one. So what happens to those who are, who can't hear, who are audio impaired? What happens to them? Are they not part of the conversations? We're talking about inclusion and carrying younger people and carrying people along, being able to make them a part of the changes that we want to see. Are we, not thinking about some of the challenges that it would have to go through? Even access to buildings. Imagine having an event that is preaching about inclusion and not having wheelchair access into the building. So you think about the little ways in which we can modify systems and structures, and even the little things to ensure that everyone is carried along. So kudos to the government. Better late than never, because this is really late, but it's definitely a positive step in the right direction. And that's also something, just to again emphasize the video by Howard, to say that even for event planners, for people having events, it's important for us to now start thinking about ways in which we can have, those sign language interpreters at almost every event, so that people who are audio impaired can feel like they're part of the process, a part of whatever event you're doing, as they should. It's not a favor. It's their right. That's right.
Yes. Anyway, let's bring to you our video of the week. We did talk about it at the start of the show, that something we'll be looking at regularly, especially on Fridays, where we look at what video makes it to video of the week, especially for this week. And if you look at the list, there's so many of them, so many. But which one will? I think the video of the week should actually take us back to the state that belongs to, not belong, I beg your pardon, that is being governed by the one and only AKA Akpako, the video of the week. So I want to find out if we do have that video ready. That makes our video of the week. A statement that hasn't gone down well with a lot of politicians. Even politicians, I do hear from one of the reports from the Guardian newspaper, even politicians from within the same party are wondering, okay, aren't we taking this too far? Where you've put a caveat that simply says that before anyone will be able to attend any of the ESCO meetings, he must be spotted wearing the Asiwaju cap. That's one conversation that has led to many reactions, and that's exactly what we have decided to dub or pick as our video of the week. This cap is what we're talking about. And by the way, need I say this very clearly, that someone else has followed suit. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this video across to the producers. It's got to do with someone in Kano State. He's doing something quite similar. We'll talk about that. But let's take a look at the video of the week before we come back.
And you are wearing traditional dress and you are coming to the ESCO with all this as you are to come.
Olive,
I want to know
this is
if
a one to both of you from Monday.
gazetted.
For Monday.
And if
No
the
Ashwaju
state-
cap.
No breakfast.
I'm even happy because I don't have Ashwaju cap. So I have an opportunity to do
We
leave.
want to see this here for Monday. Benga, be careful. You understand?
I really would love for us to implement that so that a number of us can have unsanctioned leave. Because I don't know how you want me to wear cap on top of our head.
I wonder if let's see when the Edo State Council convenes again and see the level of compliance, if the commissioners will put on their Ashwaju cap.
You know what will happen there? You have people who will just rush to their tailor and they will just carry the logo. You will see different logo. You know it's an infinity logo, right? I'm sure you see triangle. You see.
So I know we can make jokes about it and we can laugh about it, but it's really not funny.
It's not
it's
funny.
Given Edo State Secondary School. You can put those laws.
Or North Korea.
Hail Hitler.
You can give those rules and regulations. No one is saying you shouldn't give rules and regulations. But when you force people to identify, well, maybe the argument would be that he wouldn't have even selected anyone from his cabinet that's in the opposition, because that can be an argument. So that's the global or their own way of showing alliance and support. And no one is saying you shouldn't support your principal. You can support as much as you want, but again, when we hear things like that, it further strengthens the concerns and fears of the average Nigerian about Nigeria moving into a one-party state. What then is the role of the opposition? We've been seeing a number of defections from different political parties to the All Progressives Congress. There is a reason why we have multiple political parties, because of not separation of powers, because of course there are checks and balances in this case. Each of the parties standing as an opposition to check the actions of the party in power. But if everybody moves to the party in power, then where's the role of the opposition? Because there really wouldn't be any opposition. What we have, even pre the cross-carpeting, was not even a solid opposition system. What will be after is a huge cause of concern, right? Again, it's why we say people need to get involved. Young people cannot stand on the sidelines complaining and tweeting about it alone. Get involved in the process. If not, what will happen will be a constant regurgitation of the people that are already there. And the people that are there have shown you that they're not bothered about ideology. It's anywhere but their face, where their bread will be buttered, where their plants will be watered. So right now it looks like the grass is greener on this side, and that's why they will keep decamping to the side that the grass is greener. It's not about your personal interests. They will say that they're aligning with the center.
It's their own personal political calculations and ambitions. So we need to do better as a people. And the leaders, the people that have been given the mantle of leadership should be inclusive, and they should always carry the people along in their policies and in the way they function as government leaders, so that we don't have a state of anarchy and a dictatorial mood in the country or in their states.
So therefore, you now ask, what's the difference between loyalty and one becoming a dictator? The thin line between wanting loyalty and wanting loyalty through dictatorship. It's a thin line, and I think it's a conversation that we would continue to have. Hopefully, let's see what will happen in the next meeting, if anyone is going to comply or someone will break the law, maybe.
We also see this play out in the airports, to state governors traveling all the way from Imo State to come and wave bye-bye to Mr. President. This level
the last one was really,
I mean, Mr. President.
The last one, when the flight was already
loved,
and they were,
I want to know if the president's sitting arrangement on his presidential jet, if he sits airside or on the far side or this side, and does he also wave back?
If he sees them and does that.
Well, I guess that is something that you will wait to find out. Let's go on YouTube and pick some tweets. We've had so many conversations so far. I'll see if I can get some comments, regarding some of the things we've talked about. Now, in response to the clemency list and the fact that this list is being reviewed and in its final stages, Mokwonye Chukwemeka says They said some names were smuggled in by government officials, and then he put Punch. So he's alleged, he's quoting Punch. He also says regarding the demolition that's ongoing, who approved the land for building Lagos? This is sad. The same sentiments we've expressed here as well. And regarding the Wike video, he says, I honestly tried not to watch this video from Wike. Is it the bridges in PH that he did that makes him think he did well as governor? Peter Obi keeps giving them sleepless nights.
He said he did more than Peter Obi in 2 years. He has done more than Peter Obi in 2 years.
As FCT minister.
Yeah.
Well,
what Mr. Peter Obi did in his entire time as governor of Anambra State.
Well, in reaction to our guest, he says...
But sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But is Mr. Peter Obi the only opposition leader in Nigeria? Why the attack on
Thank you very
Mr.
much
Peter
for that
Obi?
question. The real reason they're attacking Mr. Peter Obi is because Mr. Peter Obi carries a level of influence that they haven't seen in previous elections before.
Okay, they call him social media president.
Yes. Mr. Peter Obi came onto the scene in 2023, and the most important thing they said was that Labour Party had no structure. Now, Labour Party now proved to them that with or without a structure, you know, that they were able to find their way to navigate this. And at the end of the day, he shocked them. So they would keep asking questions about Mr. Peter Obi and, you know, keep targeting him. But that's not all that we're discussing today. We'll bring you breakfast headlines in a moment. I'll be on standby for that. But now, let's share with you what's coming up next.
Coming up next on Breakfast Central, Senate confirms Amupitan as the new INEC Chairman. Federal government introduces sign language to schools. We'll touch on that as well. And Senate stalls an electoral amendment bill. I will highlight that. Of course, you have some of these on the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us.
At least 8 security operatives, including 5 police officers and 3 vigilantes, have been killed in a fresh ambush by bandits in Zamfara State. The attack occurred on Thursday evening along the Gusau-Funtua Road in Safe local government area when armed men opened fire on a patrol team near Gidangie village, just a few kilometers from Safe town. Eyewitnesses say the assailants appeared to have prior knowledge of the patrol movement and escaped into the forest on motorcycles after the assault. Governor Dauda Lawal, who confirmed the incident, condemned the attack and described it as another reminder of the urgent need to restore security in the region. The remains of the victims have been deposited at the Federal Medical Center in Gusau. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has demolished 11 duplexes in Abuja for violating the city's master plan and safety regulations. The affected buildings, located along Garuba Doba Street in the Dutse district, were erected under high-tension power lines and across stream channels, posing severe safety and environmental risks. FCTA's Director of Development Control, Mukhtar Galadima, said developers ignored repeated warnings and built without approved plans. He said offenders will now face financial penalties, including paying for the cost of demolition in line with new enforcement measures. Galadima emphasized that the administration will no longer tolerate deliberate violations of Abuja's planning and safety standards. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has excluded Nigeria from its list of Africa's fastest growing economies, despite an improved growth projection in its latest regional economic outlook. According to the report, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Rwanda, and Uganda are leading the continent's growth, driven by fiscal discipline, infrastructure, investment, and stable macroeconomic policies. Nigeria's economy is projected to grow by 3.9% in 2025, supported by higher oil production and stronger investor confidence, but still trails behind regional leaders. The IMF warns that Nigeria must deepen structural reforms, boost electricity generation, and diversify its revenue base to achieve sustainable growth. Overall, Sub-Saharan Africa's growth is forecast at 4.1%, with gradual improvements expected through 2026. 5 appeals have been lodged following Cameroon's recent presidential election, where incumbent Paul Biya seeks an 8th term. However, none have come from top opposition challenger Issa Chiroma Bakri, who has declared himself the winner Despite official results not yet being released, the country's Constitutional Council has up to 10 days from October 12 vote to declare the official outcome. Chiroma's campaign team rejected the appeals process, dismissing it as biased and unfair, and promised to publish evidence supporting their claim of victory. Meanwhile, the ruling party and government officials have condemned Chiroma's early announcement, warning that only the Constitutional Council has the authority to confirm the election winner. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reaffirmed his determination to pressure Hamas to locate and return the remains of the dead hostages still held in Gaza. Speaking at a memorial for victims of the Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, Netanyahu vowed that Israel will continue fighting terrorism with full force until every last fallen hostage is brought home. This declaration came shortly after Hamas returned the bodies of 2 additional hostages, but said it could not access the remains of 19 others. While the United States has downplayed concerns that Hamas is breaching the ceasefire, Israel maintains that Hamas must fulfill its obligations under the agreement. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. We'll now continue with Breakfast Central.
Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's go straight to the front pages of the newspapers. You can be part of it by calling the number you'd find shortly on your screen. Joining us is Public Affairs Analyst, the fiery, feisty Dr. John is here. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Morning,
Yes.
Mr. Dr. John. You're in very Friday spirits.
Yeah.
Yes, he
At
is.
least I'm
He
taking
is.
a clue from you guys.
Friday is here. And I know that one of the stories I want you to quickly touch on is here already. I can bet it that it will be on the front page. Let me look for it as I start off. Okay, fine. Yes, Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune. That's where we're starting from. The Nigerian Tribune. Let's go there quickly. Presidential prerogative of mercy at review stage, not final. Dun, 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 dun. AGF, that's what the Attorney General of the Federation is saying. Rivers government cancels 134 billion naira Secretariat reconstruction contract awarded by Ibas, Ibok-Ette. And my agenda for INEC, Amupitan speaks while during screening. But let's go straight into it because I want us to really use the best of the time that we have. Let's go to the presidential prerogative. The AGF has come out to say, oh, Nigerians, relax. We're on another stage now. It's called the final stage. It is the review stage.
We had wow.
We had.
I didn't know review is French.
Yeah. Comme ci, comme ça. You know, we had.
Anyhow you see it, you take it.
we had a legal practitioner who sat here and told us clearly that the staging thing, it's a bit worrisome.
Strange.
I don't know. What's your take?
So, we are going to be a bit philosophical with all of the processes. And I'm going to start from an unlikely angle this morning. When you talk about somebody being the special advisor to the president on strategy and communication, his job is not to abuse people. His job is to do what we call preemptive analysis of any content that will be given out. And you advise your principal. When you talk about a president, is a very, very small fraction of the presidency. In other words, the president cannot, in fact, it doesn't matter whether you put a 22-year-old person as the president, his eyes cannot cover all the complexities that are involved in governance of a complex nation like Nigeria. That is why he has these people in strategic positions. And because of, number one, lack of education, I am being clear on that. Because of lack of education, because of always wanting to politicize everything, we take the role of an attack dog instead of taking the role of a proper advisor. For instance, the job of a special advisor on communication and strategy, like I've said, when you do preemptive analysis of anything that is going to go out there, you look at the name, one after the other. What offense did this person commit? How will the community take this thing we are doing? Then, from your own analysis, you come back to your principal and say, sir, we will not be able to go out with this kind of information yet. But when you don't do that, when your job looks as if it is to attack everybody, then you expose your principal to communal ridicule, to the point that your principal or his office will say one thing, and the community will condemn that, will run back again and say, that is not what we mean. That is very, very important. And that's why I say, the same way we say that, oh, somebody who wants to be a minister of health or education should be a professional in that regard.
Yeah.
We must also pay a particular attention to engagement and communication with the community people. The biggest problem we have in Nigeria today is not corruption, like many of us have said in the past. Further study has revealed that it's a disconnect between followership and leadership, to the point that even when your leaders are doing what is right, you don't believe them. We cannot build a community like that. So that is why you are seeing today now that they have said one thing. This is totally strange. This is the first time that Nigerians will be made to read a preview when they are supposed to have a public display of the authentic list. And it's simply because of the fact that people across board have not done their job. For instance, I'm going to go a bit deeper. When you see your policeman on the road, and he's not paying attention to much of crime the way you want him to pay attention to crime, and he's stopping some few people and collecting money from them, he's working based on experience. Because the criminal he caught yesterday was freed at the court level, and they are threatening his family. The ones that are not freed at the court level are hiding under presidential clemency to get freedom. I'm not going to mention them, but go and look at the list.
He's also worried about his pension and gratuity.
Everything worries him. And that's the truth. So when you see the implication of this, we even read from one of the newspapers, according to their investigation, that even EFCC, ICPC, and even NDLA are not comfortable with this kind of decision.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you were embodying crime. Some of the people who were victims of the crime, their families have been crying. That's it. This violent crime is against our family. How did we get to a point where suddenly we're having presidential pardon for this same set of people? How do you want the community to feel? So there's been failure in every aspect of this list that was brought out. And it's simply because of the fact that people did not do their due diligence. There's a presidential amnesty and clemency committee, which is supposed to be the start point of all of these things. They didn't do enough of their due diligence. Now, we can even pardon the Council of State, because usually when, if you have an opportunity to know what's happening there, when you present a list like that, there's no time for them to be picking the name one after the other and be Googling that, oh, what did this person commit? So usually when they bring the list, they just believe that the committee has done its due diligence, and they just give approval, and that goes like that.
And this is a very key thing that you mentioned, because again, I will still keep going back to the interview. Joe had asked me, did the president go through this list? Did he see this list? And he said, it's a stupid question. How can you say it's a stupid question? When, just like you've explained, we recognize that the president can't attend to everything. He trusts his people. So where does the bulk of the responsibility lie, or where does this blame lie? Because it seems that, yes, they are mentioning that what they're doing is procedural, it's the last step, but the pardon has already been granted. You can't unpardon a pardon, at least so far. That's what we know.
I beg your pardon.
So, if the pardon has been given, you are now coming to say you want to review the list, putting the cart before the horse. Like, where does the blame lie?
You see, unfortunately, the essence of leadership is to be present in problem and absent in praise. Either you like it or not, the blame comes to the doorstep and the table of the president.
Absolutely.
It's respect, and that's why they call it presidential pardon. Because the expectation in the community is that the president must, of a fact, see it and give the go-ahead. But let me paint a very gory picture of how the presidency works. There was an incident recently, And you will know that this government has been extremely popular for appointing and de-appointing or disappointing or it's been very popular. And people must be held responsible. Let me tell you the last thing that happened because it's within our community. They've appointed executive directors for the NTA, for Nigerian Television Authority.
Oh, yes, remember that one.
And after back and forth, they have to withdraw their appointment and told them that let status quo remain. Further investigation by one particular newspaper revealed that the Minister of Information was not aware that it was somebody in the presidency that sold the idea to the presidency again that, oh, these people, they are not performing well, let us change them. An approval was given, announcement was made. You cannot continue to ridicule my president. President Tinubu is my president. You cannot continue to ridicule him. Unfortunately, everybody around him seems to be bent on the need to embarrass the president publicly because they know that everything goes here. But everything does not go. The first thing you learn in political communication, clear, is the fact that you must not embarrass your principal by giving out information that you will go back to edit. You give out the information now, you now return it, you go ahead. So why this is like this is that people mistake their job to be attack dog of the president. And you cannot continue to be, you see, they say you throw stone at every dog that barks. There's a difference between leading a government and leading a protest. If I'm leading a protest, I will say the president does not dress well. I'm leading a protest, but you are leading a government. You will not respond to me with that kind of energy.
Yeah. Very true.
Because the essence of government is to unite your community. If you divide it by your word, you will not be able to unite it with your action.
They probably think it's part of their KPI.
It is not. And when you look at them very well, the way to know credible people is the way they respond. Everything in life is not action alone. It's your response. If you respond to some people in a certain way, it will be as if you pour cold water on them. They will go and calm down and sit down. This is it. You cannot, again I say it, you cannot continue to embarrass my president. And my president must take action against those people who continue to embarrass him publicly at every point in time.
From
policy reversals.
Policy reversals are just too much. It's like there's a
Qatar, that Dubai deal,
It's not a good look. It really doesn't make, I mean...
The NTA issue, there's so many of them.
The concept of nation branding, and I think I was here and I said it, I went on a course for nation branding. And throughout the course, I was quiet and tears were coming out of my eyes because I saw the way we have all demarketed our nation as a people. Now performance is less important than perception in nation branding. You need to create a perception that you are a serious-minded country. But when you take one step forward and take two steps backward, nobody is going to believe you. The only reason why they will believe you is that they are still doing you a favor by giving you loan. Anything outside of that, you will not be able to attract the best to your country. So what is bad is bad. It does not have any other name. Whether they say this is a preview or the original copy, they have committed a blunder and there must be a punishment for it.
Okay, let's take another story still on the front page of the paper. If we can please put back the paper up and then see some of the headlines that are there. So another story to look at here at the bottom is Ikot has enjoyed rapid economic growth in 3 years, according to Banji. PDP are shaken by defections, ready for landmark convention in Ibadan. Let's start with that.
Sorry.
You couldn't even...
It sounds comical, right?
You couldn't hold back the laughter.
And you're wondering, on what planet is this happening?
How? I think this is the most shocking thing that has happened. Like PDP feels like a story of how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
How did PDP get to this place? And really, is there still hope for PDP?
Okay. Can we begin from the template of PDP when it became popular, extremely popular? It became extremely popular in 2023. 2003.
Yeah.
PDP was not that popular in 1999. It was popular in 1999, but there were a lot of disbelief. But in 2003, they were able to buy people to their side and took over from the Southwest governor, hijacked some AMPP states and all of that. So it became something. And one of them had arrogantly come out then that they were going to rule for 50 years. That was the mindset. That was the mindset of PDP, upon which their forefather built their, what's it called? Their futuristic vision. Now, we have seen that the same thing that they did now is becoming their undoing.
Yeah.
One thing I want to make clear this morning is that no matter how you may dislike the policy of the sitting president, some of the politicians need to go and attend this class of his consistency. And I told you, speaking from political philosophy and history, that in Nigeria, no inconsistent man in terms of party movement has ever become president. No one. Everyone that has become president had stayed with a political party with a semi-ideology, even if the ideology is absent. And from there, they have become what they became. But people started this problem with PDP when they were moving out. Our principal among them, very, very principal, you can't have this conversation without mentioning his name, unfortunately, was former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He was supposed to be the rallying point. Even when PDP left power, Jonathan could not provide that kind of leadership because of his demeanor, because of the fact that he was engaged with many international engagements and all of that. They needed somebody who will stay. All of them ran. It was only the FCT minister that stayed and was able to dole out some resources to be able to manage the party. When you are talking about party management, it's one of the most capital intensive ventures that anybody can. To maintain your structure is capital intensive. Everybody in PDP seems to be dodging this responsibility. And that is why, or that is how PDP got to where it is. Now, it is ridiculous to say that all of these things that are happening will not affect PDP. It is as ridiculous as a governor telling somebody to be wearing a Shiwaju cap. It's very similar. They are the same. Now, when you look at it very well, you will discover that there's no how PDP will remain the same in the next 10 years. If the name PDP still exists, if by any reason, and the only reason why the name PDP will exist is that we have people who are in other political parties now who still have sympathy for PDP.
Who might go back if they don't get primary tickets
at the end of the day. And PDP will also even be glad to have them. All of this is the only reason why PDP will
so
remain.
So you don't
alive
see the PDP as a formidable challenger in 2027?
Formidable. We are not talking about formidable. Nothing is formidable about PDP any longer.
So even the rules
they have governors.
See,
11 governors left.
Yes, 11 governors left.
Out of 24.
Fantastic. The problem is not the governor that is remaining. The problem is with the governors that will still leave.
Yeah.
So that's it. Because it is clear now that nobody wants to remain to hold the party together. And I understand their feeling. But they must learn from Asiwaju. If he had been jumping from one place to the other, he will not be president today. It's from history. You can check it out.
You're right.
And I do not have anything against those people who move from one political party. It is for political survivor. And survivor, you cannot continue to embrace survivor and see success at the end of the day. Those people who have made something out, now maybe they are thinking the biggest vision they have is to leave from their governorship seat and become a senator. So they can realize that under APC. But again, another political prophecy that after the 2027 election, this same fate that is bedeviling or befalling PDP.
But you know, it's not guaranteed anymore that the fact that you're a governor, you get an automatic seat in the Senate. People still vote.
Yeah,
I mean, Darius Ishaku, the former governor of Taraba State, lost.
Yes,
even Amusu also lost the senatorial.
Even the man from Makurdi, Benue,
yes.
former governor, also lost. This
was part of the
G5.
Yes.
The G5 did not propel.
Two things about that is that number one is that it has discredited the belief in the community that votes outrightly do not count. If you really don't want something and you vote massively for what you want, what you don't want will not come
it's
and
true.
usurp the power.
I mean, look at the case of the woman warrior in Kogi's,
Natasha.
They destroyed the road, all powers and principalities.
And the people still stood and they had their way. The second thing is that the plan for most of the governors, actually the plan is that once I leave as a governor, I'm just going
to become a
legislator. That has been the plan.
Retirement
Senator,
plan.
they are level 3. They don't go to House of Reps.
Former national chairman.
The higher house. The
former
upper
national
house.
chairman, Prince, Vincent Ogbulafo was the one who screamed that PDP will rule for 60 years in 2008.
I would like to
After he
interview
made that
Prince
statement,
Ogbulafo.
sometime in March, they saw him running into the APC meeting.
At the end of the
What's
day.
going on?
At 60 years now.
Well, what he meant, you are the one that had 60 years. He's a Christian. And an eternity is like a day.
Okay, I believe you. Spokesperson for Mr. Ogbulafo.
Let's talk about Ibas. 134 billion naira.
Return it.
They've asked him to return 20 billion. They've investigated.
No, they asked China civil engineers.
Sorry.
Yes, let's be careful.
China civil engineering or whatever their name is to return 20 billion.
Yeah.
But let's get your general thoughts about this.
So when the contract was awarded, you know there was defense, budget defense at the National Assembly, and a lot of things were pointed out at that point in time. Oh, CCTV and all of that. That became extremely. You understand, but of course, it's a good thing to do to dig deep into what Ibas has done, but I don't want us to divorce it from the realism in Nigeria political situation. Every budget you see in Nigeria, I take responsibility for this statement. Every budget you see in Nigeria is inflated, extremely inflated. In fact, there was a contract that was awarded. I don't know. There was a contract that was awarded in my state that was supposed to connect my state to another state. So they had, let's use an example. Let's say the contract is 3 kilometers. So somebody had a picture that has snapped the board and say, oh, this contract is so kilometers to connect this state to this state. Another person now came to look at the board and say, this thing you call 3 kilometers actually 3 billion. No. So the number of kilometers was the exact number of the billion.
100 billion per kilometer.
100 billion
per kilometer was 1 billion. Okay.
You understand?
Are you a professor of practice?
So when people now pointed that out, I think that's one of the reasons why it's not the sitting governor of my state. I think before he came on board, that was how the governor or the government chickened out of that project. Now, also, there's a place called Ore, very popular place in along the expressway. There's a bridge there. It's less than 100 meters in reality. Now, in Oshogbo, there's another bridge there of a higher kilometer, maybe 200 or 300. Do you know that the one in Oshogbo was actually the same soil situation? The one in Oshogbo was actually given out for about 3-point-something billion. Wow. The one in Ondo was given out for 5.8 billion. Without anybody asking question. So you can point accusing fingers at Ibas, but there's a system that supports that anything that government is churning out must be extremely inflated. And that's what you have seen. From the very beginning, I've expressed my doubt about it. From the very, very beginning, I've said that most of those things are extremely too expensive. And I'm happy that the political leadership in Rivers State is able to agree that some of these things are to be revoked. And I'm so happy about that.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Unfortunately, our time has come to an end, but I want to give you a special shout out.
We need to move Dr. John to a Thursday.
Honestly, we cannot do Friday, so that exactly we need to flip this, but we'll have that conversation later. Your biggest fan said I should give you a shout out, my mommy. She said, make sure you greet my fave. So happy shout out to
Mommy, thank you.
All right, this is still Breakfast Central. We'll be switching gears to entertainment. You know it's Friday and we have to set the mood for the weekend, so TGIF in a moment.
We have to let her hair down, please.
I let my own hair down. In it. A wise man once said, thank God it's Friday. And in the spirit of TGIF, we're, of course, wrapping up the show today with entertainment. And we have the finest of them all, Samuel Ojo, a.k.a. Sam Dandy, in the building.
Sam, I've never told you this before, but after Johansson, you're my second favorite presenter in
Male
Central.
presenter.
I love that. Joe, it's
overall
another
male.
right after
Why
you.
must you discriminate?
So we are my
You are the third man.
Don't believe this guy.
Olive is fighting for recognition. Farming for, she said, where am I in this thing?
Where am I?
Madam, you are
Wow.
the third one.
Wow, man. God, I beg. Who's ready for entertainment?
We're ready. I am. I already started the entertainment news.
This one's exciting. Of course, for fans of Davido like myself, OBO has officially confirmed the Nigerian leg for his 5 tour, which will see him perform in Akwa Ibom Uyo on October the 26th, then Admiral on October 29th, Enugu November the 1st, Ibadan November the 9th, and in fact, he's going to wrap it up here in December, Lagos. And I'm super excited.
I love this. I mean, it's not every time you hear if a corporate or an organization is not taking them round. Like in the past, there was this beer brand.
Yeah,
but now that, you know, artists are deliberately doing this. Adamawa is massive. I mean, for him to remember his fans in different parts of the country. And most things happen in Lagos, so kudos to him. And I hope other artists will take a cue from this.
I agree,
and
also, I think Whiskey promised us a homecoming.
Yeah, homecoming. He was about to do it in the stadium.
But they should stop calling it homecoming.
I mean, I like this. Akwa Ibom, Adamawa.
Akwa Ibom would be nice too.
The one thing I want to beg them now
Go ahead.
is not the one that they will do this show now, they will not show up. Because when a number of the celebrities want to think about several other states, right? The thought is, oh, you're always doing in Lagos, you're always doing in Lagos. But they're also business people. If people don't show up, then there is nothing that they, they won't have any encouragement to come back.
Will show up.
I think
they always show up for the Super Eagles. So
True.
Fair.
We just hope that people are well taken care of. We don't want to hear that the stadium was too small, the place did not occupy, or lines.
These are professionals, and they perform on international stages. So I'm sure they will fix that.
Because a number of these people have had to deal with so much. We've had a rough year. Let them go and unwind, let their head down.
Well, there's Enugu too, Coal City.
And
it's exciting because we've seen him
exciting.
tour, of course, around the world, and we just hope that Dirty December in Lagos is not too much.
Let them go to
But there's something we should know. Lagos, get ready. Look at the date.
It's 25th. It's December.
Christmas day of the week is Christmas.
I rather spend
I
Christmas
hope that
with
Christmas
my
is a
family.
weekday.
First
So that we don't have to
I
come
must
to
give
work.
kudos to Davido and his team. They're smart.
Beautiful.
They're not just waiting for 25th alone. They're going to culminate.
All the way.
Get it all through, and then on.
I might do it
last
Ibadan.
day.
You guys, guess who's going to work on
Why
Christmas
not
Day?
Lagos?
All of us.
What day is it?
It's a Thursday. So we're going to sleep in traffic.
We'll be here for you.
No. The show finishes on time. We get out on time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move to our next story.
Speaking about, of course, Afrobeat stars, Burna Boy, during his No Sign of Weakness tour, Burna just set a new record, becoming the first African artist to completely sell out the 25,000 capacity Sydney Myer Music Bowl in Melbourne, Australia. It's proof of his global appeal, and honestly, the Grammy-winning star's he's just incredibly good at performing around the world.
Yes.
In his set, of course, he gave us songs from I Told Them, The Project, Twice as Tall, Love Jamini, and of course, trust fans to get on their feet to celebrate this electrifying energy that he brought. It's really validating to see Afrobeat stars do this.
Worldwide. I mean, as far away as Australia is 12 hours, the time zone, it's 12 hours.
Difference.
The difference between Australia and Nigeria.
Have you seen his interview with Roger Federer?
Oh, yes, I did, where he mentioned Saeed Osupa as his
that was
goat.
fantastic.
It was really
I like Roger Federer is such an amazing, simple
guy,
a beautiful
no
soul.
Scandals, professional athlete.
The conversation was nice. You should go check it out. By the way. Very nice.
Well, we didn't. I wish I was there, but I mean, Burna didn't hit anybody on.
Can we say Burna Boy is the #1 performer
Absolutely.
in Africa?
I would say that.
Africa international.
Africa is taking
that.
I mean, you have Yusundo. Don't forget, you have some old timers.
You also have
used to play,
Femi Kuti consistently. Angelique Kidjo.
Angelique Kidjo, actually.
Why are we so obsessed with who is #1 and #2?
It's key.
I think that they're good.
No. Let me
There's
explain.
no need.
It's very important that you do that.
And genres
you
are
do
different.
that because of 1, ratings, 2, for data.
So I hope that you hold the same position when we're talking about awards, because you hold.
This is not awards. This is it's usually done for events like this. You do it for data reasons. I'll give you an example. If Burna shuts down a 25,000 capacity stadium and he does that in different countries, his strength, his celebrity, his performance strength is being rated. In that case, whenever he charges you a certain amount, they will add it to his list that this guy shuts down, he's certain to give you this XY amount. So sponsors rush to jump in. But there's some artists who you take to other countries and they tell you they can shut down to the 5,000 capacity. They don't. They only bring,
or they shut down nightclub.
That amount. Thank you. Or pub. So it's very needed for that. It's a key thing for them.
Anyway,
yeah, but I don't. On the general scale, I don't believe in comparing because
it's not comparing. It's just it's a data thing.
Exactly.
And they're all
two different artists can shut down 25,000 capacity stadium.
It's like boxing. You have IBF and you have WBF. You need to, in music, there's a WBF. It's global. Well, it's done that way.
The man says African giant. So who are we going to fight with?
He's living up to it.
Okay, me too. I'm African giant.
And I take it, gorgeous olive.
Thank you. Let's move on to
Let's move from now to some legal drama involving rapper Odumodu Black and an alleged assault charges that he's got. Court has adjourned the proceedings in November for further hearing. Now, some reports claim it's about November 16th and others 26th, but we're watching closely. The case arises from accusations that Odumodu Black allegedly attacked a content creator called Crazy Scent at a public event in December 2024, causing him some property damage and emotional distress. The next session will allow both prosecution and defense to present additional evidence and arguments before eventual resolution. Now, even though it's interesting that we're looking for visuals to prove this, to back it up, but there's this video trending online, and people say maybe this was what happened. It seemed to be Odumodu on the stage, and a fan and it reminded me of Burna Boy, as well. But let's watch this.
Legal advice before I make comments. Is it prejudice if I comment on this issue?
The matter is already in court.
So can I speak?
Well, you can speak to the details that are already in court. So maybe we might just move on from the case.
No, I must speak. I don't mind going to jail because
But I think fans need to be a lot more careful, because I don't know, sometimes these things, and this happens everywhere in the world. Someone threw a phone.
Fans do the actual moves.
Like
somebody will be performing, you will stone them water, stone them bottle. Look at how Cardi B they use her left hand to give someone serious.
With the microphone.
With the mic. Fans need to do too much. They need to calm down.
Right.
You can show your love without startling the
Odumodu too, I'm not surprised he'll act that way. Some have even termed this genre of music because it's always angry. Come on, this thing shoots you. They've tagged it Afro violence.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not surprised.
I've never heard that one.
You wouldn't expect this sort of behavior from a gospel artist, so Tim Godfrey or Don Moen. If you pull their leg, they're mink.
On my reference.
They are holier than thou.
Exactly. This one they
will pray for you. But why? I mean, Timberland boots wouldn't like that. You are using their boots to be matching people.
Oh yeah.
We're going to move from this one. Tiwa Savage has broken her silence on the long-running tension with fellow singer Shay Shay, speaking candidly in an interview on Off the Air with Bailey and Tools. Now, she revealed that the conflict stemmed from a diss track, which she claims she was aimed at her, and denied ever trying to block opportunities for other artists. Now, Tiwa opened up that she would not pretend to record it in a salon if, wrongdoings had occurred. She also shared that while she was pregnant, she was reportedly removed from a Pepsi endorsement, and Shay Shay was booked in her place, contradicting claims that she had actively undermined other people's careers. Now, in defending her integrity, Tiwa reiterated her commitment to uplifting women in the industry and challenged, of course, those spreading these rumors.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that both ladies had the opportunity to share their sides of the story. And I think that so many years have passed. It should be water under the bridge.
I agree.
These came to light because Shay Shay was on the off-air show, and Tiwa Savage had also gone on the off-air show, and both of them were asked these questions. We're grown women at this stage. If you have an issue, you sit down and talk about it. And Tiwa alluded to that. Shay Shay had also said that they both have kids, they're both grown, that she has nothing against Tiwa. Tiwa says no, maybe there's a misunderstanding somewhere, and she's open to them. Maybe she said maybe Shay and I need to sit and talk about this.
I like that,
and I totally agree. Like, you don't have to be friends, but you don't also have to be enemies, especially because their fight was such a public fight. And it then gives people something to hold on to say women don't support women, which is a blatant lie. Some of the most support I've gotten in my career are from women. So kudos to these women for being mature about it. And I hope that they can
collaboration over competition.
Kudos to them, because I had worked with both of them that same period. Sheisha and Tiwa during the Pepsi endorsements, during the tours. I would say they're very amazing people, good performers, whether you like it or not.
Right.
However, there seemed to be a feud that was being, promoted. And I remember there's an article I did write that I wish we could get collabos from two artists. Two of them, Tiwa, Shay. When I asked Shay, he said, well, I don't know about that. Tiwa would say, Joe, I don't know about that. However, you've not had any collabo from Tiwa and Shay. You've not had any collabo from Davido and Wizkid. Those were the two collabos we're asking for that time. But like Oliver said, I mean, it's a past
please.
now,
We still want it. The collabs can still roll in.
If the collabo comes, that'll be very good.
No pressure, though.
No pressure.
You don't have to.
But those two, Tiwa, Shay, that fight was a bit.
What? In the salon?
It helped the market, though, in a way.
Who's the market? Because Shay took a break.
Tiwa doesn't think it really helps.
At some point.
Anyway, let's move on from that. Kudos to the women. Congratulations to them for moving past this. And cheers to seeing more collaboration as opposed to competition. Competition is good. Let's not even downplay
Healthy competition.
Competition is good, but collaboration is a lot is better. Gentlemen, let's start amongst the men. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on the show today. Thank you, Sam. Thank you to our virtual audience, our guests who have joined us. TGIF. After working, Kiloku.
I really can't believe this show.
I don't want
We're going to leave to stay on the show.
Sam, can we stay for the next 9 hours?
Yes. No, you're going to be alone on the show. We have to get out. Thank you very much for joining us. After working, Kiloku.
Management, please, we need Breakfast Central to extend to
let's go
10
back
hours.
now. See you on Monday. Bye.